Alito Chimachukma. This is Chief Steve coming at y'all with another one, another episode of True Story. Here we are once again coming out of the sacred mysteries among the Mayas and the Quiches, 11,500 years ago, their relation to the sacred mysteries of Egypt, Greece, Chaldea, and India, Freemasonry in times anterior to the Temple of Solomon. Once again, by Augustus Laplangian. Publication date of this particular volume is 1909. Once again, my source, archive.org. You can see on the top toolbar there. And before we get into it, just wanted to give a special shout out to all of my subscribers. We've been growing in numbers, and I really appreciate you guys. For those who are seeing my videos for the first time, be sure that you guys like the videos, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell so that you know whenever I drop these bombs, you'll be the first ones to catch them. All right. And I just wanted to give a special shout out to Sosolina, YT, YouTube. I appreciate you for subscribing to me and showing me your support, man. It's much needed and much appreciated. It's a good thing that we're able to come together and, support one another as we're going on this journey of spreading the truth out to our people. And like I said, again, special shout out to all of my subscribers that's been rocking with me from day one, and those who are just now getting on, all of my followers on Twitter or X. I appreciate you guys. I cherish y'all. I appreciate the back and forth, the shout outs, everything in between. And also my TikTok followers. Like I said, we're few in numbers, but we're strong in content, and I appreciate every single one of you guys. And if you guys aren't following me on those platforms, be sure to look in the description. I have links to those platforms. So, don't be a stranger. You always mention me, say what's up. I'll give a holler back. All right, guys. Well, without further ado, we're getting into a very interesting topic. And this may be the last passage that I go through in this particular book. For a while, because I have a lot of content that's stacking up. I've been doing a lot of research in between these different passages here, and we got some different books to get into. So the content is not we're not low on content out here. We definitely got a lot of things to get into, but yeah, this may be my last passage for this particular book. And once again, here's the title for it. So if you guys need to get this book, you can find it on archive.org. It's there. Free information, guys. It doesn't cost anything to download this, to make an account, favorite it, and keep that in your archive for yourself. But this particular subject that we're getting into on this particular video is the origins of the cross. And we know the cross to be something that has been emblematic for religion. It's the staple, in particular with the Christianity, the Christian religion, and the Catholic, religion, so on and so forth. And everybody knows what the cross looks like. But the cross has an origin, and it goes way further back than religion itself. So we're actually going to get into it. It does speak of it as being an emblem of one of those sacred mysteries of the Mayas, of the Maya Empire. So it goes way back before Babylon, goes way back before Egypt. It goes way back, before any of these different civilizations were established. So let's get into it nonetheless. And I'll be doing some pauses, some references, and you know how we do it. We're just going to make this as clear and concise as possible. All right. And before I get into it, once again, I do not knock any religion. I am not religious myself, yet I do not knock any religions. I know that we have different people of all different walks of life. This is purely true story. This is the his story that was not mentioned. This is the true story of what's going on in our world today, particularly within the United States and the Americas, surrounding lands of the Americas. So, without further ado, with that disclaimer being said and done, I appreciate you guys. We're going to get into this right now. We're starting here on page 128 on the new paragraph here. And it says, "The cross is another sacred symbol, much reverenced by all nations, civilized and semi-civilized, ages before the establishment of Christianity, and although we find representations of it in almost every part of the world, from its mere delineation scratched on the rock to the stately temples and admirably hewn caves of Elephanta in India, still nowhere do we learn of its origin. There are several varieties of crosses, but all may be traced back to the primitive form which resembles the Latin cross." And if you guys don't know what the Latin cross looks like, I'll show you guys what it looks like right here. We're going to pause for the cause so we can get some clarity on what we're talking about here. So if you've never seen the Latin cross, which I'm sure you have, it's actually the cross that, is known widely today as the Christian cross. But originally it was called the Latin cross. I'm going to show that to you guys right now. Let's pause for the cause and get to this image. All right, y'all. So this is the image of the Latin cross. As you see, I typed it into Google Images. And that's the cross that we mainly see today. And you see, even in this Wikipedia site right here, it has, the different uh, cross images. As you see on the bottom left of that Wikipedia item is right there, the Latin. So that's what we mean by Latin cross. And then, here we go right here on your left. It says Latin cross by preachingsymbols.com. So everybody pretty much knows what this is, as they know this as the cross. And a lot of people don't know that there were actually crosses that this had came from. There was an original form of a cross. So this is just one of the many versions of the renditions of the original cross that we're going to get into in just a bit. But as you guys have that image has been pretty much been engraved in all of us, those who are American Indians who grew up in the church. Y'all know, y'all already know what time it is. This is the cross that we've seen all our lives, for the most part. But like I said, there are crosses that are older than this cross, and we're going to go get into it right now. Let's pause for the cause and get back to the passage. All right, y'all. It says, "Among the earliest type known on the eastern continents is the crux ansata, called the key of the Nile. It was the symbol of symbols among the Egyptians, the Phoenicians, and the Chaldees, being the emblem of the life to come." Once again, we're going to pause for the cause and show you what that looked like. And we're back. And this is the crux ansata here. Now, a lot of my ones that have dabbled into ancient truths, that have studied their Egyptology, that know of Kemet and the teachings thereof, Ma'at and everything of that nature. You guys know this particular crux or cross as the Ankh. And so, we've seen this as well. You've seen it on many so-called black TV shows, where they got the necklace with the They call it that funny looking cross, like, oh, that's the African cross or that's the Egyptian cross. It was actually called the Ankh, and the proper name for it was the crux ansata. And also in the images, you find a pretty interesting uh, source right here where it says H.G. Wells right here on your left, or on my left, is H.G. Wells' Crux Ansata, an indictment of the Roman Catholic Church. So, you can check that source out if you want to get more information on what that is. But yeah, you guys can pretty much see, where this is coming from. So a lot of you have seen that Latin cross, and also a lot of you know of the Ankh or this Crux Ansata as well. So this is something that, we're going, the cross origin itself actually has deeper roots and even uh further deeper origins that stems way back before the uh creation of this particular cross as well. There's an origin to this one, and it all ties in to the same root, to the same origin. So, like I said, without further ado, we're going to get even deeper into here. So, as you see right there on the sponsored link, replica Egyptian Ankh. So, like I said, it goes by different names, but there is one origin, and we're going to get into that. So, once again, we're going to pause for the cause, and we're going to go back to the passage, or go forward to revealing the true origin of the cross. Alrighty, we're forward. We're here. Now, it says it was the symbol of symbols among the Egyptians, the Phoenicians, and the Chaldees, being the emblem of the life to come. It was placed on the breast of the deceased, sometimes as a simple T figure there, on the fulcrum of a cone, sometimes represented as supported on a heart. It is also seen adorning the breast of statues and statuettes in Palenque, Copan, and other ancient cities of Guatemala, Nicaragua, and various localities of Central America. See? So, where is Egypt really? You know what I'm saying? Is Egypt where they say it is, or is it somewhere else? And if so, how is it found here in the Americas? These are questions that you have to ask yourself. It says everywhere it was associated with water. Okay, so the crux was associated with water. Not a lot of people know that. In Babylon, it was the emblem of water deities. In Egypt, Assyria, and Britain, it was emblematical of creative power and eternity. In India, China, and Scandinavia, of heaven and immortality. So in those places, it was a sign of heaven and immortality. And it says in Mayaks, the rejuvenescence and freedom from physical suffering. That's what it meant to us in the Americas. It was a sign of rejuvenescence, to be rejuvenated. It was a sign of freedom from physical suffering. All right. And a lot of people, real quick, a lot of people, when they see the cross, they associate it with suffering. You know what I mean? And particularly in the Christian faith, it was something that, there where Jesus was put on a cross, and he suffered on that cross. You see, so they look at that as a sign of suffering. But for the ancient Mayas, for the ancient Americas, the copper-colored Aborigines, they knew this as a sign of freedom from physical suffering. They saw it as a sign of rejuvenation, of rejuvenescence. Okay, and we're gonna overstand more of what that meant and why they interpreted it as that. So it goes on further to say the cross as a symbol was placed on the breast of the initiate after his new birth was accomplished in the Bashik and Eleusinian mysteries. Remesel and Torquemada assert in their respective works that when in 1519 the Spanish under Hernan Cortes landed at the island of Cozumel, they found crosses which the natives worshipped as gods in their temples. After them, many writers, on their authority, have affirmed the same thing. This, however, seems to have been a mistake. Okay? Bernal Diaz del Castillo, who accompanied Cortes, does not mention the existence of such symbols in Cozumel, but emphatically says that Cortes, having ordered the destruction of the idols that were in the sanctuaries, caused an image of the Virgin Mary to be placed in their stead, and near it a wooden cross made by two of his carpenters to be erected, recommending the natives to take great care of them when he left. So it says right here that this Cortez guy came in after establishing himself. He destroyed all of their idols, everything that they held sacred. He destroyed that. He put the Virgin Mary up there instead and put two crosses, potentially Latin crosses, out there for them to, and told them they need to keep this safe. They need to take good care of this. So it made it look like they were worshiping this, and really they were ordered to just keep it safe and keep good care of it. But he kind of put a pseudo type of worship out there for them, and instead, so whenever I guess whenever he felt, he came back or they were to, be around, they knew to hold them in high regard because they're holding up their images in high regard. Excuse me. But you guys know how the conquest went, and if not, do your due diligence and check out, what's happening with that. So either way, it's pretty messed up. It says Dr. Pedro Sanchez de Aguilar, another of the early writers, maintains that the stone crosses found afterward in the island were made in imitation of that of Cortes. And Bishop Landa, although a most zealous missionary, he was one of the top missionaries intent on converting the Aborigines to the Catholic faith, does not mention the existence of crosses in Cozumel before the advent of the Spaniards. So even their most top missionary, the one that was going the hardest on trying to convert the Aborigines to the Catholic faith, he even admits that there has not been such image of a cross out there when he first got out there, before the advent of the Spaniards, before the Spaniards even got out there was no cross like that. All right, they had no images of a cross. So as Maury Povich would say, the lie detector determines that was a lie. So this, it's all indoctrination. You got to weave between the BS, when you're doing your research, because you're going to find some things that say one thing, and then you can go and find an even deeper or older source that says something completely different. And that's why I always tell you guys, don't take my word for gold. The sources are here, and I try to find the oldest sources possible to give you this true story. But it is still your obligation, should still be your responsibility to do your due diligence and continue to search and dig deeper to find the truth for yourself and stand in your truth. Once you found the truth, stand in your truth. Don't let anybody tell you or gaslight you into thinking that what everything that you're learning is false or is not right. And you see the sources, the credible sources there for yourself. Okay? So, I mean, we've been running into that lately with a lot of people, and I just chalked it up as this is gaslighting because people are starting to find out and figure out the truth for themselves. And you got these agents out here, and you got these different people who don't know nothing about anything trying to debunk people with nonsense, basically with hearsay. And even though you give them credible sources and place it right before their eyes, they still say that, oh, that's not real, that's not right, that's false, and they go with based off of what they feel is true, but they don't provide any sources to contradict or to uh, argue down what you're presenting to them. And if you do run into that, know that, hey, that's gaslighting, man, and we ain't down with that. So just keep it moving and keep learning your truth. Keep going and keep deep diving and keep learning and understanding the true story, the history that they have not taught us. Do your due diligence. So let's get back to the passage. So we basically found out that there were no such images of the cross that was made by the Aborigines back then before the Spaniards came through. And it says here, this last line, a fact, a fact he would certainly have taken advantage of in his predication of the gospel, and would not have failed to mention in his work, and had he been satisfied that the symbol really existed. So had he had known that the symbol was there, he would have mentioned it in his work. He was taking down everything that he was uh, seeing and going through out there, and he was keeping good record of everything that he was doing. So had that stuff had been established before he had got out there, he would have definitely said something about it, and that probably would have made it a little more easier for him to convert those Aborigines to the Catholic faith. Because I guarantee you, not all of them just bowed down and bent the knee and just, you know, gave up everything that they've known all their lives just to start worshiping or going into this new way of life. So I know he had some kind of kickback, some kind of pushback from that. And I'm sure the kickback wouldn't have been that hard had those images have already been established out there. So let's go forward. It says there can be no doubt that in Mayaks, in very remote ages, the cross was an emblem pertaining to the sacred mysteries. It says no external vestiges of the symbol are to be found among the remains of the temples and palaces of the Mayas, such as those seen at Palenque and other places of Central America. Only one image of a perfect cross have I ever met within the within the ancient edifices of Yucatan, besides the ground plan of the sanctuary at Osmo. Okay, so it wasn't what the crosses that they were used to seeing, but it says it's only one perfect image that he did remember seeing out there. And it says it forms part of the inscription carved on the lintel of the doorway of the east facet of the palace of Chichen. Still, tradition tells us that the cross was symbolical of the god of rain. So this was a totally different type of cross, and it was symbolical as the god of rain. And it says, if so, they made no image of it. Oh, okay, so there was no image. It says it made no image of it. It was only it was only an inscription carved on the lintel, but there was no big image of it. It says they made no image of it, nor did they celebrate any festival in honor of it at the time of the conquest, but held it simply as a notion of their forefathers. Okay? So, when you have big images of things, these are things that are, big in the forefront, something that you're outright worshiping. And they didn't do anything like that. They just had a simple inscription or a carving, and they didn't hold it in such high worship or anything like these conquestors, the conquistadors were saying that they did. So it says right here, it says the ancient Maya astronomers had observed that at a certain period of the year, at the beginning of our month of May, that owes its name to the goddess Maya. Okay, so if anybody didn't know, the month of May, the month after April, the month that comes before June, that is, it owes its name to the goddess Maya. They call it the good dame or mother of the gods. So Maya is the mother of the gods. And they call it the Southern Cross, or the Maya, the mother of the gods. It says right here, going forward, the Southern Cross appears perfectly perpendicular above the line of the southern horizon. So the Southern Cross is something within the heavens, is something within the sky that appears on the southern horizon. Okay, so it's like a constellation of sort. It's in the cosmos, and they say that this is why the Catholic Church celebrates the feast of the adoration of the Holy Cross on the third day of that month. So every May 3rd, and I don't know if they do it now, if anybody's into the Catholic religion or the Catholic faith or knows more about it, be sure to leave that in the comments. If they still celebrate that on the third day of May, it's the adoration of the Holy Cross. And if so, the reason why they're doing that is not because of Jesus or because of anything of that nature. It's because, like it says up here, it's by astronomers. It's ancient Maya astronomers who have observed that this certain time of year is when the Southern Cross appears in the southern horizon. All right? And this, once again, was a resemblance of the god of rain. So, it just tells you. And so going forth, it's the adoration of the Holy Cross on the third day of that month, which it has consecrated particularly to the Mother of God. Okay, so it's representing that. That's why it's celebrating Maya. It's celebrating the Mother of God, the Good Lady. That's what they call it. Instead of the Good Dame, they call it the Good Lady. And then it says the Virgin Maria. So that's the God, what do you call it? The Virgin Mary. That's what we know presently today. They call it the Virgin Maria. Okay? Or the goddess Isis. Okay? So these are truth bombs. Those of you who are in the Catholic faith or was a part of it at one point, now you know what the Virgin Mary is. The Virgin Mary is really, the Virgin Mary is what they call the Mother of God, the Good Lady. The original name was the Virgin Maria, and that all came from the goddess Isis. It says the goddess Isis anthropomorphized by Bishop Cyril of Alexandria. Okay, so it's a lot of truth bombs being dropped here. So take it in stride and do your due diligence, like I said. And it says in all localities situated within the 12th and 23rd degree of latitude north, about the beginning of January, the dry season sets in and no more rain falls during several months. Okay? In May and April, in the countries like Yucatan, where there is no water on the surface of the ground, all things become parched. The trees and shrubs lose their leaves. Nature looks desolate. All living beings thirst for a drop of moisture. The birds and other wild creatures go mad with thirst, they lose their characteristic shyness, and venture near the haunts of man. So when this is all dry, all the creatures start looking for water, and they start veering into the haunts of man. They start coming into, you know, where men are, where the Aborigines are, into their, established locations. And it says they're imperiling their lives in search of water. And it says death for one of it seems to threaten all creation. So basically it gets so dry out there because of the dry season, and we can even relate today about the drought, the recent drought that happened out here in California, which is a part of the Americas. We know how dry it can get out here. Arizona, y'all know how dry it can get out here. You know what I mean? New Mexico, y'all know how dry it can get. You know how it gets out here, and it seems like anybody who's not used to that kind of dryness, it's like it hurts. It's like it becomes, like it says, death for one of it seems to threaten all creation. So at this point back then, they didn't have air conditioning and different things of that nature. At least not to my knowledge. They didn't have air conditioning. They didn't have those different things. They didn't have water on tap. You know what I mean? They depended on nature. They depended on the different water resources that were available throughout the land. And when that got dry out there, some of those streams dried up. Some of those ponds and them lakes and stuff where it was a reliable water source, I'm sure some of those things would dry up and you'd have to look around for some more water, and particularly the wild creatures, they lose their shyness. They're not just sticking to where they usually go to. Now they're venturing out and they're going towards where man is looking for water and stuff. So it becomes a little hostile, wherever you go. So when all this is going down and the same and threaten all of creation seems to be threatened, it says, but four bright stars appear in the south. So around this same time, they look for this sign in the heavens. They look for this sign in the sky on that southern horizon. And they say when those four bright stars appear in the south, a shining cross stands erect above the southern horizon. All right, and when they see that sign in the horizon, they know that what? It says, it is the heavenly messenger that brings good tidings to all, for it announces that the floodgates of heaven soon shall be open. And those who are Christian, they know that song, open the floodgates of heaven, let it what? Let it rain. All right? Come on now. I don't want to start preaching here. But y'all know what I'm talking about. Those who are into Christianity, those who been in them churches, whether it be the Baptist church, the undenominational churches, the so-called black churches. Y'all know that song. I forgot the name of the artist, but I'm sure those who do know, they know who I'm talking about. Open the floodgates of heaven, let it rain. The sign for the floodgates to open was the cross in the sky. It was that southern cross on the southern horizon. And it was depicted by four stars that made that perfect cross. All right? And that's what we knew. We've known that before Christianity. We known that before religion was even a thing. We knew that because we studied the skies. We studied the stars. The stars. We were in tune with our environment. And we knew when we saw that sign up above that rain was coming. That drought was about to be over. All right? Things were about to get better. Okay? So it says, the floodgates of heaven soon shall be open. It says that the so longed for rain will shortly descend from on high, and with it joy and happiness, new life to all creatures. says, man hails with thankful heart, welcomes with songs of gladness. See, if that song was going on back then, that's what they would have been singing. Open the floodgates to heaven, let it rain. They would have been singing that song because they've been singing songs of gladness. They'll have thankfulness in their heart. All right. It says, this brilliant harbinger of the life to come, for indeed it is a God for him, the God of rain that rejuvenates nature, frees man and all creatures from physical sufferings. All right, because if you are suffering from thirst, you get that. What rain brings. Rain brings forth rejuvenation. It brings forth vitality within nature. The fruits and everything start to grow again. When it's dry, everything's dried up, nothing's growing. There's nothing to harvest. You know what I mean? There's no plants, there's no herbs, there's no fruit, and now it's coming back because the physical suffering is ending, because the rain is coming back. The water is purifying and bringing back life to nature. It says it brings felicity to them. Heaven, therefore, and with renewed life, immortality. So when death was imminent, when it seemed like, oh man, it's so dry out here, it's not enough food, not enough water, nothing's growing, we're surely to die. So we got to eat to live. Well, here comes that sign. And once we see that sign in the sky, shortly after that, what happens? That rain comes down. When that rain comes down, everything has been rejuvenated. Everything has been brought back to life. All right? Everything goes back into balance. It renews life. And that's how we know that it brings immortality. We continue to live. Okay? So it says, is it not the creative power that is eternally renovating and revivifying all things on the surface of the earth? Is it then strange that all nations in every age should have worshipped the cross as symbol of the life to come and immortality, and held it in so great veneration? See, it's asking that question. And the question is, or the answer is, shoot, oh, it's not, it is. It makes sense. It all makes sense as to why the cross has been such a impactful symbol amongst all civilizations of this planet. It's because it is a universal sign. It is not a sign that is exclusive to religion or to a certain way of life or a certain way of thinking. The cross, the crux, no matter how they depicted it, its origin comes from that southern cross, that horizon, that constellation within the southern horizon that shows that water was coming. Okay? And some called that the god of rain. So they recognize the crux as a deity of it in its own. It had its own divinity. It wasn't a part of something or a part of a religious dogma. It itself, and that's how you see in different indigenous patterns and stuff of our people, you can see the cross in those things. And it's like, oh, I thought you were out of religion, or I thought you were out of this and that, and why you repping the cross, why you have the cross on it. Now you can see, now you can proudly say that, that cross means something more beyond religion. This emblem, this inscription comes, or it goes way back before your religion was even thought of, conceived of. You see, our ancient Aborigine cultures embraced this symbol because of what it meant to us in the days of old, not because it represents what they were trying to enforce on us or was trying to convert us to. It was impactful for us because it knew when we saw this in the sky, we weren't looking on images. We weren't looking for something hanging on a cross or a person hanging on a cross. We were looking for the cross itself in the sky because we knew that our dry seasons was ending and our fruitful seasons were coming. We knew that it was the coming of a new day. It was the coming of a new reviving of life, a new life to come. Because water was sacred to us. It is the life bearer. And when we know the floodgates of heaven are open, we recognize that new life was coming to us and that our life was immortal. We have immortal time because it was always dependable. We knew that it was always going to come. When we saw those signs in the sky, we knew that that rain was always going to be there. It was always going to come. It was going to revive us from whatever things was happening. And we took that. You know how we get. It means one thing, but then we take it deeper and we make it mean something else on a even deeper level. We reflect on it and we refer it to, you know, personal times within our life. Somebody could be going through some pretty tough times during the dry season, but when you saw that horizon, when you looked over that horizon during that month, what we know as the month of May, during that particular time of the year, when we seen that southern crux off the southern horizon, we knew that okay, things are about to change. You know what I mean? That was that symbol and that meaning of a change is gonna come, you know, and it was a change for the good. All right, so let's go. Almost lost my spot. Let's just go back up here where it says uh, we already asked the question, right? So it's right here. It says it must be remembered that all the civilized nations in the lands of the West and in the Eastern continent dwelt in latitudes where the constellation known as the Southern Cross is visible during the month of May, and that the first showers soon follow its apparition above the horizon. Okay? From these, of course, it was transmitted to the other further north that accepted the symbol, right? Without understanding its meaning. And in after times, many speculations have been indulged in concerning its origin. All right, so they knew these these ancient aborigines knew what it meant, but when the symbol started getting more popular and going around, it lost its meaning to a lot of the people. You know, a lot of them didn't even know why they were reverencing this. And that's what made it easy for religion to set in, you know? So, like I said, from these, of course, it was transmitted to the others further north that accepted the symbol without understanding its meaning. And in after times, many speculations have been indulged in concerning its origin. It says, but the unsophisticated natives, they call them the unsophisticated natives, but you know who they're talking about, the indigenous copper-colored aborigines of this landmass in the midst of their forests today, rejoice at the sight of the Southern Cross and prepare to sow their fields. Why? Because they knew that the floodgates of heaven was about to open. It was about to rain and it was about to become fruitful. It was about to become plentiful. Once they were going to have a good harvesting because now's the time to sow the fields. So when that rain hits and it revitalizes that soil, it feeds that earth. When it's time for harvest, them crops are gonna come out real good, looking real good and tasting real good. All right? That's that life. That's a new life. The origin and meaning of the mystical T figure, that symbol of hidden wisdom, as it has been denominated by scholars of our days, found on all Egyptian monuments, okay, in the temples, in the hands of the gods, in the tombs of the breast of the mummies, also met in the ancient edifices of Mayaks. And we're going to go further down. Got a couple of blank pages here. It just leaves room for different images and stuff. If you want to see these images more in a more defined way, you can download this book. Like I said, I gave you the sources. And it says, and on the statues and altars in the temples at Palenque has given rise to many speculations on the part of modern savants. Excuse me. They have not reached yet any conclusion, although its name Tiahu, and I've been practicing saying it, so it's gonna break it down a little further, but it's Tiahu, says plainly that it is nothing more or less than a representation of the god of rain. This Southern Cross, the Southern Cross is considered among those who like to deify things within our culture. It was known as a deity amongst itself. It was not a prop. It was not a something that was associated with the deity. It was the deity itself. The Southern Cross is the god of rain. Okay? Effectively, Tiau is a Maya word composed of the three primitives: T, which means here, A or A for Ha, so Tiha, which means water, and U or U, which we know U, month. Okay, so Tihau, 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 which translated freely means this is the month for water. You see how simple that is? And everybody has, oh, well, what the cross means to me is this, and what the cross means is all of this. They have all these different definitions, but simply put, a simple origin means that this is the month for water. That's all it meant. It meant that rain was coming, you know, and just leave it to us as copper-colored aborigines. We can take something as simple as that and we can just turn it into something that means so much more. You know what I mean? We can relate it to our lives. We can encourage, we can uplift, we can do all kinds of things with it. And they saw us doing that, and they mistaken that as worship. And they mistaken that as although we did deify it, they mistaken it as something that can be used as a way of manipulation to bring forth their own way of life and impose that on us. First, they took it for themselves and they made it whatever they meant for themselves. And then they brought it to us and they tried to manipulate and turn it into something that would make us basically worship them and their way of life. You see that? So it's all a big kind of, it's like a whole 360 kind of thing that went in the wrong direction. But now we're bringing it forward to that old time meaning. I'm giving y'all the true story now. This is the origins of that symbol. It is nothing more extravagant, nothing more, nothing less than meaning Tiahu. This is the month for water. It's that Southern Cross It's a constellation that appears on the southern horizon around, according to them, apparently around the month of May, which is my birthday month, by the way. But it's neither here nor there. But it's something that appears around that time, and all it doesn't mean that Jesus is coming back, or it doesn't mean that the world is going to end, or Armageddon is about to start. All it means is that this is the month for water. It's time for water to come. There's no great goddess. There's no anything of that nature going on. It simply meant was the water is coming, rain is coming. So get your house in order. Start sowing your fields. Get your crops ready, because the water is coming to feed the soil, to feed the earth, to heal the land. You know? So I mean that's that's pretty much it. But we're gonna go a little further. It says this is the month for water, hence for the resurrection of nature, for the new life to come. All right, I had to take a quick pause. My people checking on me, making sure I'm all right back here. All right, but see, I'm getting real passionate about this. They probably hear me getting loud and stuff. I'm just letting y'all know, like, this is what it's about. All right. So, but yeah, this is the month for water, hence for the resurrection of nature, for the new life to come. All right. And it says form, the complex form of the mystical T, the mystical figure, which is formed of a cone with two arms extending, one each side, and an oval placed immediately above them, has been denominated by the Egyptologist crux ansanta. Okay? But it says it is not of Egyptian origin. Okay? And for y'all who's deep into the Egyptology, and don't get mad at me, this is the source itself. Okay? This is going back. It says it's going back further. Those who have an open mind, I mean, that's really trying to find the true story within it all. I mean, sometimes we can't stop it where we went. Once we get more information, that's what allows us as free thinkers to continue to grow. We have to open up and we have to do our due diligence. Okay. So once again, don't take my word for it. It's the source right here itself, and you do your due diligence and see how this agrees with you. And if it's something in you, that's telling you, hey, dig deeper or go more into it, by all means, keep going. All right. It says it is not of Egyptian origin. It has its prototype in the conoidal pillar surmounted by a sphere used by the Babylonians as symbol of life and death. Death being but the beginning or nursery of life. Okay, so death ain't the end of it all. Death is nearly just another beginning. All right, it's the nursery of life. All right. So what does that mean? It means that it's not all about that YOLO. We don't only live once. We are immortal. Okay? There is life to come after death. Death is nearly the beginning, the end of one thing and the beginning of another. You feel me? So once again, you want some more information on that, by all means, like I said, do your due diligence. Don't stop here. Keep digging. Keep going. And if you're rocking with me this far, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, watch my other videos, because we go deep, And this, like I said, this is just the beginning. You got to look at this like life and death, man. This is the beginning, the end of one thing and the beginning of another, you know. This is that true story, that history forsaken to tell. Okay? That's what we getting into. So by all means, like this video, subscribe to the channel, and make sure you share this information. All right, so let's go a little bit further. We're almost done here. It says this emblem was only a reminiscence of the Yashe. Okay, and y'all know what the Yashe is. Those who have been rocking with me, who've watched my prior videos, y'all know what the Yashe is about. Y'all know what the Yashe is. I showed that to you. It's the sacred tree of the Mayas. All right, that sacred tree that is to be in where? In the Amenti, in the land of the West, where the departed souls will be and where they will be covered. That's what covers us, the Yashe. All right. If you haven't seen those videos, you'll see on my channel, it's a thumbnail of a big old tree. Click on that video and you'll get more information on it. And then I'll even show you guys again, once I finish the sentence, I'll give you another, show another image for you guys. And it says, the emblem is only reminiscence of the Yashe, the sacred tree of the Mayas, under the roots of which the natives assert is always to be found a source of pure cold water. So that's where it's saying that that crux, that's merely reminiscent of the Yashe tree. And I'll give y'all an example right here. Let's pause for the cause and let's get our last image up. All right, y'all, we're back once again. This is that ceiba tree, that Yashe. That Yashe is known as the ceiba tree, Ceiba. That is the Yashe. It's a ceiba tree, and that's only located within the Americas. It's this tree right here that they said would be in the Amenti, where the departed souls go. Okay, that is that main tree that's out there, the ceiba tree, the Yashe. So when it's referring to the cross is merely a reminiscence of this tree. Okay, that's all it is. And that's how big the tree is from a person's perspective right there. Just to put things into perspective, that's how big this tree can get. And I'm sure it can get even bigger. You know, think about ancient times. But that's that ceiba tree. That's that Yashe that they're talking about. And that's what the original representation, the origin of the cross, that's what that image is reminiscent of. And it's going to go deeper in. And we're going to end it on this last passage here. So let's go forward back to the go forward to the passage that we're reading, and let's wrap it up. Okay, so I don't want to keep y'all too long. All right, y'all. So yeah, it's the source of pure cold water. It says the trunk of the Yashe, from the foot to the top, forms a perfect cone from which the main branches shoot in an horizontal direction. Its leafy top, as y'all seen from a distance, presents the appearance of a half-shaped spear, of verdure. Okay, the cone, the tiahu, and the crux ansanta were for those initiated to the mysteries the same symbol emblematical of deity. Okay, it's tying back also what I was telling y'all earlier of the life to come, of the dual powers, of fertility. That's what that's all the cross represents. It says the Mayas and other peoples of Central America and the sculptures or paintings always represented their sacred trees with two branches shooting horizontally from the top of the trunk, thus presenting the appearance of a cross or tiahu. Okay, so they wouldn't sit there and just vividly draw out every single branch and every single tree, because as you saw, every tree looks different. It's not all trees look the same. Okay, but that was their universal sign of the ceiba, of the Yashe. They had the trunk with the two, and on the top of it, the two branches sprouting out horizontally, which basically makes like a T, right? And this is basically what it looks like right here. They have a vivid image of they what they used to draw. That's exactly what they used to draw right there in front of you. And can you see the symbol of the cross within there? You should be able to see that symbol. This is nothing more than the Yashe tree. This is nothing more than representing that time for rejuvenation, revivification, that time to bring new life. That's all that the cross represented. The cross represented new life to come. That's all that it is. And you can actually find this image here from a Mexican manuscript in the British Museum. The same museum where they hold the emblem of America, being a dark aboriginal copper colored female, that emblem of America. Y'all should know what that image looks like by now. That's the same museum. The same museum that holds that is the same museum that holds this image here of the original cross, of the Yashe or the saber tree. Okay? Can you see that? That's what it is. It says, in straying apparently so far from the main object of these pages and tracing to their true origin the primitive traditions of mankind and many of the religious symbols common to all the civilized nations of antiquity, by dispelling the mists that have accumulated around them in the long vista ages, my aim has been to show they all emanated from one and the same source. And this source was the country of Mayas in the lands of the West. All right. So we're going to end it on that note. We could keep going further, but like I said, I don't want to hold y'all. This is something that, I've been sitting on for a while. I had to get it off. I really appreciate you guys rocking with me. And you guys reach the end of this. Please, like I said, like this video and subscribe. And let's get our numbers up. Let's keep getting our numbers up. We're doing real good. The algorithm is starting to catch us. And the true story is starting to get out there. So let's keep that algorithm moving. Let's keep it going strong. All right. I really appreciate the fact that you guys are tuned in and you guys are rocking with me and staying with me through the long haul. Because like I said, this is just the beginning. We got to get the true story out here. It's a reason why we as Aborigines, we do what we do. It's a reason why us American Indians believe in what we believe and move the way that we move. Okay, we've been doing this since the days of old. It was no new concept. There is no new conception of anything that we're doing. Everything that we're doing is nothing new under the sun. We are merely returning to our ancient ways. Okay, and even those things that they have tried to conflict us with and manipulate us with and afflict us with suffering and stuff, and say that this is a sign of suffering, this is a sign of this and that. It did not mean that back then. And it's a reason why you have these kind of images right here, and I'm gonna show you. Give me a second. Right here, it's a reason why we move the way we move. It's a reason why we rock the way we rock. There is no new conception, rather, as to why we do what we do. Everything that we have, everything that we hold true, everything that we hold sacred to ourselves goes beyond religion. It goes way back before Christianity. It goes way back before Catholicism. It goes way back before the conception of religion itself. All right? These are ancient signs. These are ancient meanings behind these signs. And it's not as complex as what people would try to make it to seem. These are things that we've known since since the beginning of our existence. It's been embedded in our code. All right. These are different. Everything that you see that they try to make occultish, everything that they see that they try to make, is satanic or of the and satanic being Satan is nothing but adversary. So it's adverse to what they're trying to make you believe. Anything that they say is of Satan basically just goes against what they're trying to teach you. Okay. And I'm not saying, call yourself a Satanist or call yourself this or hell Satan or nothing of that nature. I ain't on that tip. We ain't doing nothing religious over here. This is just merely showing you the true story behind everything that has been going on for thousands and thousands of years. We known these symbols way before they even brought these over here. We held these symbols as sacred because we knew the true meaning of it. We knew of the times that we were living in because we paid attention to the stars. We paid attention to our environment. We paid attention to our surroundings. We were in tune. And we need to get back in tune. We need to go forward and stay in tune with our environment, stay in tune with ourselves, and know why. When they say open the floodgates of heaven and let it rain, we know what we're talking about. This isn't just a gospel song here. This isn't just something that we sing in church, something that's a fellowship within a temporary monolith of things. We've known about the floodgates way before the conception of religion. We knew about that Southern Cross and that Southern horizon. And it's time that we stand on our truth. We stand in our truth. Recognize the true story for what it is. All right? So thank you once again for rocking with me. I appreciate y'all. Tatakista. Make sure that y'all like, share, and subscribe. And like I said, this is just the beginning, y'all. It's getting deep, and we're going to go even deeper. It's more to come. Yakoki.